All right, everyone. So glad you're here. People are still coming in, and they will be coming in. So we're going to talk about this Black Panther movie, and we're also going to introduce you to the superhero trap. And the superhero trap is one of the four injected racial scripts that we counter. Now, when I was in Ohio, I presented this. DC presented this, and that is it's countering um, injected racial scripts. These scripts get in the way of our how we take in our stories and also how we tell our stories. And so one of those is the superhero trap. Okay, and you're going to learn more about that. Another one is MSO. There are only four of them. I'm going to present them a little bit later on, and we'll look at how do you use that tool. That's a part of what we call storytelling from the inside out. And so, for those of you who have your text chat open, if you would, please write that. I want you to write that word, because that phrase, because it's really critical. Um, because this is a guided discussion. We want you to say what your opinions are. We're also going to provide a little bit of an analysis and a tool that you'll be able to use not only for the Black Panther, but other movies and stories as well. And so it's our series here is storytelling from the inside out. And you're going to hear about the superhero trap because it's important that we not fall into that. You're going to learn about morality and service of oppression. We'll use those two and maybe one more as we analyze the Black Panther. But part of what, given how much energy has been directed in our community around this movie, we thought the best thing for us to do is to first open it up in two ways. Having people say what they liked about it, and having people say what they didn't like about it. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to call up Tafari. And Tafari, would you guide us through that? I'd appreciate it.
Certainly. By all means, first and foremost, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us on the call, both in Zoom and also on Facebook. I am Tafari Melisizwe, work with Educational Institute. I'm also a photographer and graphic designer, educator, lover of our folks. So I'm so grateful that you all are here. And yes, like Baba Wakesa said, we are going to have a guided discussion where, like the title of this talk is How to Enjoy Black Panther and Avoid the Superhero Trap. So our work here is really to true that up in the sense of, enjoying, we want y'all who have seen it to enjoy the film. We hope you enjoyed it. For those of you that saw it, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, hope you enjoy it when you see it, and getting some tips, tricks, tools, skills, practice, and how to avoid the superhero trap that we're going to get into. So I just want to offer a couple of guidelines real quick. For those of you, hopefully you've all been guided to the text chat. For those of you that are joining us via Zoom and Facebook Live, I'm monitoring both. If you can use the hashtag or the pound symbol, like, and in there, and tell us something, your favorite scene from the movie, something that you got from the movie, something that you particularly enjoyed about the film. Put hashtag like and then your comment or what have you. For those of you, start typing away. For anyone that wants to do so audibly, we can open up the microphone and hear your voices as well. So feel free to jump in either one.
Tafari, will you choose if they can raise their hand? You can choose 5 people to speak as opposed to have it come at one time. Everybody can type. But
sure, yeah. If you all see under the option of more, that's a great suggestion. There should be a thing that says raise your hand. Now, Bob Wakesa, I may not be able to see that because I'm not logged in as an admin. So that
okay. So guess what? Ask them to wave their hand.
There you go. I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
And I'll also watch it if they raise it. And also while you're doing that, I'll check both pages. Okay.
Fantastic. Great. So yes, great suggestion. For those of you that have your microphone or your cameras open, and please open them if they have not been. you have something that you'd like to say that you enjoyed about Black Panther, wave your hand just like this, or raise your hand. And I see Janaba, you waved your hand. So Janaba, no, you didn't. Okay, you're shaking your head. Got you. No. Let's keep
How
it
about
going.
if we're calling it? Do you have suggestions for people calling in on cell phones?
Okay, people calling in, they have to do just what you did. Don't have to
Yep, jump
say,
in.
you have to jump in. Well, here's what we want you to do. And he said it, I just want to reinforce it. First, the text chat is open for those of you who are on your computer to type what you like about it. It doesn't mean you can't speak, but also while people are speaking, you can type. I also need everybody to mute your mic. I'm going to go and try to do that for you. If you're not the speaker, please mute your mic. If you're on your phone and you're not speaking, please use your mute button on your phone. All right. Now, also, you can unmute it to say if you're on the phone, I want to say. Again, and what I'm going to do is, if sometimes you may come and not know how to do that, the also, Anana has reminded me to ask you to speak directly into your mic, and we're going to go from there. So the text chat should be being fired up right now with all the things that you like, starting off with a hashtag like. You will get a chance to also say what you don't like. Okay, that's coming next. What we think we're going to start with anything that you like that you want to mention here. Okay, Tafari, I'm out, and I'll be muting as I feel like I need to. Okay.
Perfect. Got you. Great.
So
So
can I begin?
by all means, jump in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Would you introduce yourself?
This is Mama Joy. This is Mama Joy in St. Louis, and one of my favorite things. Can I be heard? Okay.
Yep, I can hear you well. Huh?
Okay.
Please go ahead and continue.
Is how dark-skinned Black women were portrayed and honored and adored in this movie, as opposed to being put in situations where they are stressed and demeaned.
Got you. I love that. Great, great, great. Yes. She said that she loves the way the dark-skinned Black women were portrayed in the film, as opposed to being portrayed in other ways. I'm going to add that to the chat. That's fantastic. Absolutely. So beautiful to see ourselves. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I see from Nadir out in Arizona. I really enjoyed the costumes and the beautiful people. I enjoyed the architecture. I really enjoyed the warriors. The women warriors were my favorite. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else? Keep them coming. You share your voices. There was so much conversation around this film and ongoing, and we really want to hear your thoughts. So tell us what you like.
How do I talk to you?
We hear you.
You hear me now?
I hear you.
Okay. Although it was a comic script, I enjoyed the truth about the women warriors. There's a group in Dahomey, which is now Benin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And they did factually portray them, from my knowledge. They are all-female military regiment, and their responsibility was to protect the king, the king. But in the movie, it talked about the king, the throne.
I got you. Yes, 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 yes,
So
yes.
So, and I like that they use the African language, Hausa.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, that was Isi Hausa. Spoken in Azania. Most folks know it as South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mama. Give me your first name. I want to make sure I got you correctly.
Eunice.
Thank you, Mama Eunice. I really appreciate your feedback. Other voices. Raise your hand. Raise your hands. Wave your hands.
How do I take my picture down?
Bottom corner next to your mute button, there should be a stop video. And I see Addie. I may have that wrong. Addie with glasses. Go ahead and unmute yourself and I'd love to hear your voice. Thank you for joining us.
Mine is saying recording.
Okay.
You had that correct, brother. It's Addie.
It's if you could, Mama Addie, if you could come a little closer. I can't hear you.
Awesome. Greetings to everyone. I just wanted to second the sister's observation about the skin tone. I really love seeing a film about Africans that did not
Eat it and enjoy.
Africans that did not do what?
that did not look like me. I am the product of the colonizers'
I hear that.
control over my ancestors. That's what I enjoy.
I hear that, sister. I definitely hear that. Sure, we got. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to take 2 more, and then we're going to throw it to the other side. Got Brother Charles said he liked Killmonger's perspective as forgotten African. Brother Charles, if you have a mic, I would love for you to unmute yourself and tell me a little bit more about that. Brother Charles, maybe not. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, no worries. Let's keep it pushing. Let me see if I can get 2 more voices. How about Mama Asha or Sister Oforiwa, Kabir, anyone seen the film? Nadir, how about you?
I can say something. Can you just tell me? I just joined, John Boy, everybody. But can you just tell me real quick what the question was?
The question was, thank you so much for joining us, first of all. We all collectively decided that the last person to jump on would donate $5 to everyone. And since that is you, brother, I will put my PayPal in there. Now, what we're doing is talking about Black Panther and sharing one thing that we liked or stood out to us from the film, something we enjoyed. So anything that made you smile, made you feel good, anything like that.
Okay. All right. I mean, there was a whole lot for me in the film that I really liked and really enjoyed. You know, a lot of important questions I think were asked or posed at least or discovered in the film. But I would say probably the main thing that stood out to me, that stood out the most, was the concept of the healing that comes from dealing with the trauma from your ancestors, dealing with the trauma or the mistakes from your ancestors, and that whole idea of, you know, preparing the next generation for, you know, your eventual death or for that basically transition of power. You know, just basically, you know, you got to deal with the stuff from your ancestors, and everything can't be sweet until you have dealt with that, you know, and dealt with that trauma. So it was really important for me.
All right. Yeah. All right, Brother Kabir. No, that's beautiful feedback. That's a beautiful thing to get from the film. Absolutely. Definitely the healing aspects of our work, we can pull from that and integrate that into our actual lives here and now. Thank you for that. Thank you for jumping in. We got Mama Kaya says, like that they made a point to be self-sufficient. I'm going to pause it here so we can continue the discussion. Great feedback, y'all. Feel free to keep throwing some stuff in there. Again, use the hashtag like to share something that you enjoyed about the film. And now, Baba, with your permission, if it's cool, I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Tanisio and let him lead that part of the discussion. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all sharing. Tanisio, it is on you, my brother.
I'm having trouble unmuting my mic.
We hear you loud and clear.
We hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It shows a logo that my mic is still muted. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. So, yes, of course, we are really dissecting this film from as many angles as possible. And so give thanks to our brother Tafari for taking that moment to really help us look at a lot of the things that we all have definitely gravitated towards. And so now we want to shift gears and you know, look at this from a balanced perspective and really focus on some of the things that maybe you all felt were not as enjoyable, potentially even be questionable. So using, of course, the same system we did before, if you'd like to hashtag dislike, type anything in the chat, feel free. But also for any of the people who may be on mediums such as a cell phone that would like to speak up, feel free to do so now. So we want to focus on some of the things that, you know, we did not like. And so if anyone would like to offer anything into the chat or speak up now, feel free to do so.
I would like to speak up now. This is Mama Joy.
All right.
Well, one thing that I didn't like, and forgive me if this is rooted in my own lack of understanding, but I really didn't like how the Wakandans would identify themselves by lifting up their lip. Now, maybe it just reminded me of the movies that I've seen where we're on the auction block and they make us show our teeth, or they move our lips so that our teeth are shown. That's what it reminded me of. But maybe there's something more to that. Maybe I have a lack of understanding, but that's pretty much the only thing I didn't like about the film, was how the Wakandans would turn their lip inside out to identify themselves. But I would love to hear anybody's commentary on that. You know, maybe I don't have a full understanding or background, but that really put me off.
All right. So just so I can recap and make sure I captured what you said. So basically what you're saying is when the Wakandans had to identify themselves, they did a gesture with their mouth that for you was actually reminiscent of some of the things that we would see auctioneers doing with slaves, you know, almost like making them show their characteristics so that when someone is looking to potentially buy them, they'll know how healthy they are. Is that what I'm hearing correct?
Yes, sir. It didn't feel good.
Good.
When I made that connection.
All right.
One thing I encourage everybody to try on tonight, would you try on using Africans in captivity instead of slave? That's anybody and everybody. It's just an IS standard. So when you normally would think of slaves, use the word Africans in bondage or Africans in captivity. And if you're going to want to normally where you would use the word master, you can use barbarian, or if you want to be polite, you can use captor. Just try that on, please. Keep it rolling.
Give thanks, Baba. Anyone else? Any dislikes? Feel free again to add it to the discussion. Go right ahead. I heard someone begin to speak. If you would like to chime in, feel free to do so.
In there, and I mean, I do. It's kind of with a grain of salt a little bit, but because I did appreciate the
all right
behind it.
Anyone else?
Kabir is
if you
talking.
do have your mic muted.
Kabir,
can you hear me?
I can hear Kabir. Tanisio, can you hear him?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on, Kabir. I can hear you loud and clear, but Tanisio cannot hear you. Others, can you hear Kabir talking? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, hear him.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I was gonna say one thing that I did not like, even though
I don't hear him. So
okay. So Tanisio, you might log out and log back in. I'll just be you as best I can until you do that. See if that resets it.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. All right, Kabir, go ahead.
So yeah, I was gonna say one thing that I didn't like, even though I appreciate what they tried to do behind it, and I enjoyed it at first, was how they introduced themselves. I feel like they really missed an opportunity. I appreciated that they tried to show, you know, that you can't just introduce yourself as who you are. You have to speak to your lineage to say who you are, and that's where your respect comes from your lineage, you know. But I do think they missed an opportunity to include the father and the mother in that introduction. So, but I did appreciate that they did have that as a key aspect, and that was like real important, that who are you concept. But I do feel like they did miss that opportunity, you know, especially given how powerful all the women in the film were.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Y'all keep it flying. Type in the text chat and keep talking. Try to keep it as succinct and tight as you can so we can get as many perspectives. Something you did not like. If you just came in, we had the first time section of what you liked. Now is what you didn't like. Please mute your mics, please.
Can I just say something? It's not about swearing.
Please, can you all hear me?
Every politician to say that. It's the
Can
fact
you all
that
hear me?
Well, I got somebody with a loud behind them. Okay, go ahead.
That's
Is that
somebody
Anana?
else.
This is Sister Ifuru in Detroit.
Okay,
I was
go ahead.
saying that one thing I didn't like, it was pretty obvious. I wasn't surprised by it, but I was very unsettled by it, and that was having a CIA operative participate in any type of hero role or even be allowed to live. But that's only because of my personal,
Only because your
history.
personal. Give me. You don't have to listen. Y'all don't have to qualify nothing in here. This is whatever whatever reason you don't like it. Don't go through a whole lot of explaining. If you don't like it, just say you don't like it. And if anybody agrees with them, give them thumbs up or type in the text chat same mo or whatever. Okay. So we can get a sense. We're a community here. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Keep them coming, y'all. I know we've talked so much about this film with your friends, with your family. Bring us into the homeroom, into the living room of your conversations. Tell us what you loved, what you didn't love.
All right, Nadia's ready. Hit it.
Go ahead, Nadia. You're muted, Nadia.
Okay, I just wanted to say two things. I didn't like the erasure of Njidaka's mother, or Killmonger. They just kind of wrote her off as an American woman. So we didn't know if she was like black or like white or like who she was, like who was she, And then I also didn't like the scene when they were like in the final battle almost, I think it was. And the woman that was like the head of the royal guard, she pointed her spear at her husband. She was like, well, he was like, would you kill me for Wakanda or something like that? And she was like, yeah, for the kingdom, I would definitely do that. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, how does breaking her relationship or killing her husband serve the nation when a nation is built on relationships, on strong relationships at that? So, yeah.
Mo. Keep it coming. Something you don't like. Or is this a crew where you liked everything that they did? Come on.
Are we, Mipaucho, are we allowed to respond, I guess, to the dialogue as it's happening, or?
Right now, we want a compendium. We want people basically to say what they don't like and let everybody get a chance to come in with what they don't like, as opposed to explaining it and defending it and stuff like that. We'll come back to that. Yes, Anana? Unmute your mic. Okay, do I have to lower your hand? Try it now. Okay, I hear you. I mean, I see your face. Come on, we got to get you. Let me make sure. I don't have you muted here. I'm going to see. I see you.
I can't type.
Okay. No, we can't hear you. What? Me too. Sad about that. Keep trying. Keep coming in, and we'll just bring you in whenever you can get in.
Actually, because she has something in the chat. Maybe you can read it. Let's see.
You go ahead and read it. Love that a black woman reading a black woman.
Let's see if I can find it.
All right, Anana, you just keep going. Mama Fia's going to try to read what you put in the text chat until that time. Other things, what you didn't like. Tafari from Facebook says, I didn't like Okoye has basically said she would go against her man. Understood the concept, but it didn't sit right with me. Anything else? What didn't you like? We talked about what you did like, all right? Come on, Nadia and Friends. In this case, this is Friends.
I really enjoyed
like the very end when that UN scene. I didn't like the UN scene at all.
I didn't like it either.
All right, didn't like the UN scene. Type it. Got that? Type in the text chat what you didn't like about it.
Okay, I do have a notice now, Akissa.
All right, hold on just a second. Nadia's Friend, would you introduce yourself and bring your voice on in here?
Yeah, my name is Constance Scott. I'm in Arizona as well. I really enjoyed the idea that they had towards unity and how connected they were and how much they stuck to their traditions. However, going back to the idea of, okay, I'm going to kill my husband, and then again saying, okay, this is the new king. I'm going to fight the old king, the king that I know has my best interest at heart. Whereas this person, and granted, he definitely had the royal blood, but he didn't have the good intentions that he required, which is important in being a leader. And the fact that you would fight for somebody that is filled with that much hatred against somebody that you know has your best interest at heart, it didn't sit well with me.
All right, got that. All right, back to you, Afia.
Okay. Anonymous wrote into the chat that she disliked the initial romanticizing the idea of a gated community until the end. I think she's speaking of Wakanda as a gated community. And for me, I didn't like that there was such a lack of strong Black brothers in Wakanda. You know, aside from T'Challa, Zuri, who was older and weaker at that point, you know, just not strong brothers. We had the sisters, just a real lack of strong brothers.
And specifically,
like
you're talking about from Wakanda.
Inside Wakanda, yes.
Right, got it. All righty. Tanisio, are you Black?
I am Black.
Okay.
I'm on my cell phone at this time, so I may not be able to do as much as I was able to from my computer, but I am here.
All right, great. Then I'll you know, because I know you may not be able to see. All right, we got a little bit more time on what you didn't like, and then we'll also let you. We'll do a little responding, and then yeah, fortunately we got some time, and we want to use it wisely. So the first, this first section was what you liked and what you didn't like. All right. And then we'll have a little discussions where you can respond to some things, all right? And then we'll go into excerpts from Countering Injected Racial Scripts. We want to give you the Aya WHB perspective on it, on a tool for you to be able to analyze not only this movie, but others, because part of what we want you to be able to do is how do you enjoy this movie and not fall into the superhero trap? And it's a powerful racist script that can do us harm. And we want you to be able to enjoy this movie or others without falling into the superhero trap and without falling into the MSO trap. And so we're going to get to that. Hopefully you're enjoying hearing different perspectives, hearing some things that you didn't think of. I know I am, in terms of what people liked, and also some nuances of some things that people are saying that they didn't like. All right.
I'll jump in real quick. I got looking at the wonderful folks on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. I have Akanke Washington saying, "I always hate people willing to fight for liberation are made to look extremely crazy." I got Cassandra Rochelle that says, "I didn't like that Okoye basically said she wouldn't go against Taman. Understood the concept, but it didn't sit right with me." One more says, "I didn't like the whole idea that some rich African nation, that I guess there's some rich African nation that is refusing to save us."
All right.
We have one more in the chat room that talked about black on black violence, and they felt like that's a reoccurring theme that we see in many of our so-called black superheroes, be it Luke Cage, Black Lightning, Meteor Man, you name it. We're always seeing black on black violence take place. And then they said they would have rather seen a focus be kept on Claude as the central enemy.
Okay, excellent.
There's one here. Sister Eunice says, "I think they should have taken the knowledge to the African community before taking it to the UN."
Hello. Mo. Mo. All righty. Anything else? Anything that you all right, at this point, all right, so we've heard some things you like, some things you dislike. Based on what you've heard, do you have a question? Okay. Now this is we're opening it up for questions. Do you have a question, either about something that you heard or something about the movie? Questions. Type them or say them.
I have a question. I was just gonna say, I think I was trying to get to a quieter place. I was just gonna add one last thing to the dislikes. So I really appreciated the dichotomy that they tried to kind of draw between continental African folks and folks in the diaspora, you know, and how some of those conversations happen. But I think that for some people who see the movie, Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan's character, you know, he had the liberation politics and he had the clarity, but the other character imbalances and extremities that came with some of his actions, that for some people seeing that might kind of invalidate some of those ideologies. So some people might see it and get the idea that, okay, radical black nationalism is too extreme. Where we need to be is in a more accommodationist place. So, you know, that's just a small critique.
Hello, small critique, my foot. You put your foot in it. Excellent. Anybody else? Or either questions. Now, if you've been trying to get in and you haven't gotten a like or dislike in, you can throw that in. But also, question. Any question you have about the movie or about something that you heard somebody say. Think number one. How about identify yourself, brother? Oh, handsome black brother up in here. Where you at? And do you have anything to say? All right, he seems to be frozen.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Hey, Mo.
Oh, well, I logged out and came back in, so I'm sorry if this was already addressed, but I loved it. I did. I think that it was more emotionally therapeutic, you know, in terms of, you know, all the twists and turns. I love that we're having more discussion about it. But the two things that stood out to me, I mentioned one of them was the fact that I felt like Wakanda was a wonderful comparison to this gated community concept. Like, you know, I felt like it romanticized it a lot because there was such a need for us to see what it would feel like to be in this kind of bubble of protection and overwhelming resources and that sort of thing. But I also felt like it romanticized this notion of a gated community so much so that it was almost justifying it. And I know at the end, the whole moral of the story was, you know, that's not a good place. Let's just ration out outreach. I get it. And I didn't necessarily, you know, come up with any theatrical solution or re-scripting of the movie.
I got some.
That wasn't okay. And then the other thing that I didn't like too much, it turned me off because I studied engineering at Howard and I did a lot of engineering work because my dad was in engineering, so the sciences was big in our household. And when at the end, when the spaceship landed and the kids walked up and they let this little line be in there for comedic effect, I thought it cheapened the moment when the kids were like, "Oh, we can sell it for parts," and I was like, I mean, yeah, people giggle, but I've seen kids from challenged neighborhoods see amazing scientific things for the first time. And they have much more developed thoughts, and, you know,
teach that.
The level of amazement is nowhere near what they, you know, maybe from a societal norm in their environment. You know, it's never reduced to that. I've never, ever in all my time in sciences seen that. So I was a little disappointed quietly in that, even though it like got a resounding laugh, you know, in the movie theater.
I didn't like that part a little bit either, but one question I did have though, and in the framing of a lot of the discussion, you know, there are a lot of people who have mentioned or brought up what they consider to be a problem with quote unquote giving your money to white people because the movie is a Disney movie. So the question that I have is how do we approach that? How do we reconcile that and the fact that Ryan Coogler is attempting to do something positive? I mean, we you know, we're obviously going to debate whether or not.
What's your question, bro? What's your question?
The question is, how do we reconcile it? How do we deal with it?
What parts? What are the two horns of the dilemma? What are the two horns of the dilemma that need to be reconciled?
It's a Disney movie, but it's a brother who's trying to use his platform to put positive stuff out there and to, you know, make a change. But it is a Disney movie.
Got
and
it. So the negative is it's a Disney movie. The same people who control Fox, the same people who whatever. So it's a Disney movie. But
it's a brother trying to use that platform.
I got you, and that's a positive. So how do you reconcile those positives and that negative, if possible? Great question. All right, put that in the text chat. Excellent. All right.
I have a question.
Go for it.
My thing is this. Hi, Wakesa. This is Trinae. I thought the movie was excellent, but one thing I really didn't like, I think on some way it somewhat played into stereotypes. Okay, and this is what I'm saying here. It was great that I don't remember the character's name. The African American guy who I forgot what his name was. Oh gosh,
You mean Killmonger?
Michael.
The character was Killmonger.
Yeah, Killmonger. Killmonger. I like Killmonger. They tried to make him accomplished, but yet at the same time, I think that I hear this dialogue sometimes between Africans and African Americans, and my girlfriend is Jamaican. About it seemed to cast shade on African Americans on some level, and I didn't really like that. I think it played into those stereotypes in which Africans are accomplished, and then African Americans are somehow kind of always miss the mark, and I didn't really like that.
I got it. Beautiful. Excellent. Excellent point. Excellent point. Divisions. And I think played into the stereotype is actually you being kind. Okay. With that. Okay. Others, questions that you have. Or certainly if there's some comments, here's from Facebook. Zakia says, I wonder how many will pay attention to the classic statement made by W. Du Bois years ago, all art is propaganda. The CIA knows that, and they use their propaganda on black people in the USA on a daily basis. Excellent. Well, I'm going to build on some of that. Want to just give you a few more minutes of questions or responses to what you heard, or likes or dislikes for the last a little bit before Barbara Kessler get rolling, okay, into giving this context for countering injected racial strips. And in doing that, I'll also will address some of the things that you have put in terms of what you like and you dislike as well. Because we're an educational institution, and critical thinking from an African perspective is what we're about. I don't care what it is. I don't care who made it. And so that's part of what we want to make sure that you also get from us, as well as what you get from everywhere else that you're getting things from. So any more questions? Addie says, how do we utilize the pro aspects to further our African journey? Excellent question. I will address that in my own way, and if anybody has suggestions, put those in the text chat. Addie wants to know, how do we utilize the pro aspects that we talked about earlier? Kabir says, how do we reconcile the positive part of a brother, Kruger, trying to use a platform to say some things, and the negative part of it's being funded by our enemy? Now, some of you may not agree to Disney or enemy, but I do. Okay, so let's roll it. I got that question. Am I missing another question?
I have a comment about the black on black crime.
Yes, you can respond, and now here's a response to the black
on black violence.
Black on black violence. Come on.
I didn't see it as gratuitous because it seemed to be contextualized in Royal Combat, and I'm having trouble seeing this as violence again in a negative aspect in the context of the narrative.
Because it was the context of royal combat, ritual combat. She doesn't have a problem with it. I hunch the other person still does, and that's okay. We can hold different perspectives about this same movie, and that's really important for us as our community, that we can hold different parts, different people like and dislike the same thing. All right. You don't have to change your mind.
Wakesa?
Yes.
Oh, Wakesa, you're getting some feedback. I don't know why. Is everything else open on your computer?
Well, no, I don't think it's on my computer. That is, I got to. I'm going to see who I need to. If you're in, please use your mic. I'm going to help you out if I can. If you're on the phone, press your mute button until you're ready to talk.
One comment I had about just the movie in general, and then about some of the dislikes and dislikes. I think one of the things that was powerful with what Coogler tried to do with the movie was that he did try to show a lot of balance between different ideologies, and that is actually one of the things Coogler said that he does in an interview. He said he tries to explore things that he's not sure about and explore them from that sci-fi kind of point of view, or explore them through fiction concepts and ideas that he's not too sure about, and explore it. So, like, for example,
now that doesn't, what you're saying doesn't answer your question of reconciling.
Oh, no, it doesn't answer my question of reconciling. This was just a comment, a separate comment.
Okay.
So, for example, with the lady, with Okoye saying that she would kill her husband for Wakanda, on the flip side of that would be Nakia, who would go to the other kind of extreme in terms of trying to save, you know, abandoning tradition in a sense, or, you know, just different ideas that there were balanced in there, different ideas that were balanced out by other ideas.
Right. So that's something that you like that Coogler did. Excellent. Got it. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, folks, you can respond. Is there any, is it Ade, are you talking?
Yeah, I was just gonna give a response. I was gonna say, in terms of people's issues with the sister being willing to kill her husband, I have an alternate perspective on that. My perspective is that sometimes, and I think true to history, sometimes we as black men have compromised moments, and like Ya Santua or other examples, sometimes it is sisters who have to have that resolve and have to step up. And I really love that he may have been compromised, but she stepped up and she said, "Look, I'm about the culture, I'm about the people, and I'm gonna do whatever I have to do." So I appreciated that.
All right, brothers. Ade said he appreciated that. Welcome, Diana Levy. Glad that you're here from San Jose. All right, folks. We want to have this conversation. I haven't heard anything from Dale, from Daily Dale. Okay, seen him smiling, shaking his head a couple of times. We got Lynn Barry on the call. You know, I haven't heard anything from her. I called on Think One, but you know he ain't say nothing.
Okay. Can I make two comments?
Come on. Yeah.
One comment that I wanted to make. It's the first time in a long time that I was actually able to have compassion. The brother from Oakland who was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time in a very long time that I've been able to have compassion for my brothers and sisters here who don't want to have anything to do with Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I generally, you know, I just generally don't have empathy or compassion. But in the movie, when they showed that he was left behind as a child, I felt that hurt that he felt being left there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side, when the folks in Wakanda, I think it was the Panther's father was telling them that they agreed to perpetuate the lie because they thought that was the best thing to do. And it's clear, and we have been living that lie.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's that lie?
The lie that they felt that they had to.
Which was what?
They didn't reveal the truth of what happened. That he killed his brother and what happened.
Okay, so I just want to be clear to follow you.
Yeah,
What the lie was?
That whole situation, that what happened when his brother, when he killed his brother.
Got it.
And they didn't, and so that all that confusion was in that young brother, and so I felt great compassion for him, and I understood the pain that many Africans in America feel and the negativity that they have towards Africans. It's because of not knowing the truth. That's
okay. All right. Excellent.
One other thing that I really wanted to say, because it's contrary. I heard Anana and another sister, they viewed Wakanda as a gated community. I viewed Wakanda because there were elements in Wakanda that I saw from various nations and tribes in Africa. They were all there. So I viewed Wakanda maybe as a unified
pluralism.
Hence, I think it does need to be gated and keep these folk out. You know, the ones, the brother that challenged him, I'm bad on the names in the movie, who fought him, the big, strong brother we challenged for the kingship at first.
Yep.
They
From
were
the Nabaku. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Were they not in Wakanda? Was that out? I mean, they were not in, but weren't they in Wakanda?
They were one of the 5 tribes that settled on the area, but they did not weren't in Wakanda proper. They were in the mountains, so they were close to it.
Okay.
And
So
but they were not in Wakanda.
and they weren't in it because they didn't like. They felt that we needed to step it up more. But
No.
wait,
Well, okay. I don't know. Go ahead. Keep on going.
I thought that they weren't there because they disagreed. They felt that we needed to step up and bring the weapons outside.
I didn't hear that from them. I didn't hear that.
I'm
I heard that
stretching it.
from other folks.
I admit I'm stretching it.
It all at the beginning they had 5, and 4 of them agreed to come under the leadership of the first Black Panther, and they chose to do it differently. But I did not hear that.
I stretched it.
Okay, no problem. Now that was a theme throughout.
For some reason, though, I viewed Wakanda as a unified Africa.
Got it. Beautiful. I hear it. We this is a time to say now. Y'all got 3 more minutes. Bob Kessler has been patiently listening and getting these comments to 8 o'clock from 7 to 8, and I love it. Somebody typed in the text chat. Nadia said, it seemed to me that the Wakandans were elitists, like we can't help them or other Africans, they got their own problems. Addie says, I would have liked to see an opportunity for healing of wounds, both old and new between us, captured Africans. I do too, Addie. Let's go. All right, we got 3 minutes more. The mic is open and the text chat is wide open.
Baba Kessler, this is Tanisio. I have a question. Because I have not seen the film yet, so I'm definitely listening and taking notes from people. I'd like to know, was there anything that anyone felt about Wakanda being isolated that would suggest that even though with all of its wealth, with all of its resources, it was still too weak to actually be exposed and open as other sovereign nations are? You know, is it that they were trying to hide because they felt that outside threats were still so powerful that, you know, Wakanda just couldn't, you know, bear exposed itself? I haven't seen.
Some believe that, and that was a issue in the film. Somebody says we're strong enough to protect ourselves and go out. Others says we're not, others would like if we open it up, then our way of life would be damaged and changed. So that was a contentious piece in the film. So yes, that thread was there. And it was represented.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about the resolution of that in a minute. Okay.
I had a quick comment. I think, you know, Wakanda wasn't representative of Africa or Africans on a whole. You know, I think that was Wakanda was more in the sci-fi part, and this was kind of like a thought experiment, so to speak, in that what responsibility would a perfect nation that had separated themselves away from everyone else, what responsibility would that nation have if that nation was powerful and they had the resources and they had the technology and they had the ability to do stuff? What responsibility would that nation have? And then also looking at what would cause such a powerful nation on paper, because on paper Wakanda is like the perfect place. What would cause such a powerful nation to fall or be susceptible to, you know, outside influence or outside changes, which is what Killmonger was. He was an outside thing that came in, and just in the course of a day, he just switched Wakanda's whole everything up because Wakanda was clearly weak in some ways.
Actually, it's a weak part of the story. It's not. It's a fatal flaw in the story. No society that's as developed as Wakanda would also not have a way, both constitutionally and other ways, to protect itself so that nobody couldn't just disrupt the whole thing. And the reason it's a weak part, and I'm rolling this is 8 o'clock now, so I'll also respond to some of the things, is because it elevates that while it is technologically advanced, it is at heart a warrior society. At heart, it's who's the strongest, and if you're the strongest, then you get to control everything. all right, as opposed to that it's a developed society and the might just doesn't decide who gets to rule and who doesn't get to rule. And so, which is a piece of racism that could easily have been turned in a different way in terms of the movie. Um, and so let me just talk to y'all a little bit. I love what we have, and certainly the text chat is fired up, and I love the comments that we have. I love that we're having women. I'm gonna just somebody I hadn't heard from. I want to read Teresa Dodson. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm wondering just a second. I'm wondering how many people in this session are now willing to channel the excitement they feel for this movie to an organization and work to build up our community. They're asked for reading, connect back to Africa. And Eunice, I think doing a movie like this at this time make Africans feel good when the nation is so much murder, black, white, and makes us soft. We need to be strong. Let me just go right in with that. What I said I was going.
Baba, respectfully, can I ask one more question? Did
Sure.
anybody have an experience when they saw the sort of a messianic image of the white man coming out of the hut? Did that impact anybody, or?
Yes.
Well,
I mean, that was when it's something at the end that just almost took me down from the whole movie. There was this messaging there, something about that was very coded to me.
Coded? You mean the Great White Hope, and
I
you
mean-
got to have a Great White Hope? You mean that? That coded?
I mean, like I said, if for most people that was going to go by us, we haven't talked about it, so
Well,
you know,
I'm glad you brought it
seems
up.
to me.
I'm so glad you brought it up.
And I'm saying this respectfully. I just wanted to ask, since no.
I love it. Well, all of us have been respectful all night. Okay, and that's what we've been doing, saying what we like and what we dislike, and so let me roll with a little bit of things based on some of the things you said, and then let me roll into that.
Yes, sir.
I'm a storyteller and an educator, and part of the work we've done with Healing Oppression's Wounds is to begin to know how we use stories to heal, and also how do we protect ourselves from the misuse of stories. And so the first thing, which is the title of this invitation, is how do you enjoy this movie and not fall into the superhero trap? So let me first talk about what the superhero trap is. There are four. If you're taking notes, I'd love for you to do that. There are four scripts. This is things that have unconsciously been injected in African people and in our consciousness that allows us to accept stories that don't mean us well, and also for us to tell our own stories in ways that are scripted negatively. All right. One of them is called MSO. And Afia, if you're here, would you please type that in the text chat? MSO. And MSO stands for Morality in Service of Oppression. And this script is where whenever the story has characters that oppose oppression, particularly virulently, okay, powerfully, those characters are portrayed negatively, okay? When a character goes along with oppression or relative to the another character who would be more strident, that character is lifted up as more moral. Now, when we talk about moral, we're talking about simply who's right, who's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. That's morality, all right? And so we're induced to use morality and go along with this script. So, for example, outside of this whole movie, though both were ministers, Malcolm was a minister, Martin was a minister, which one is considered more moral in this culture? All right. And if we ask our children, you know, Martin's considered more moral. Well, I'm sorry, you know, there's nothing that necessarily, the difference is Malcolm said by any means necessary. Martin challenged oppression, but also used a strategy to turn the other cheek. All right. So one was more stridently opposing oppression. All right. And because of that, and at least that's most of the portrayal. I don't mean that Martin didn't have some other stronger moments challenging oppression, but for the most part, his strategy and tactics were less stridently opposing oppression, and therefore he's considered more moral. All right. Now, whenever this comes up, it compromises how we tell the story. but it makes us feel powerful because we're on the side of morality. Okay, it's called morality in service of oppression. Now, how do you tie this to this movie? Well, there were two characters who consistently talked about challenging the oppressor directly. Okay, all right, and all right, I got some feedback here. Which mute your mics. Please mute your mics. Let me see if I can just hear.
You might go ahead and do it, Wakesa.
I'm trying to mute. I'm trying to see where I can mute everybody at the same time, and I don't see it right here. No, that won't let me do it. Okay, so all right, I just found that person. Okay, so the two characters, and if y'all see this, y'all can do amen and write on in the text chat. Killmonger's father, who in my mind, I think the person that he connected with was an African American woman.
Notes. Give me another pen.
Y'all, all right, I'm gonna have to just mute your mics, okay? When you come in, if you're on your phone, just press mute. All right. Now, Killmonger's father, who was close to, in love with, had a baby with what I'm considering an African American woman, and became close to the community, said African Americans and other Africans in the diaspora our communities are being occupied, and we're being killed, etc., etc. Drugs are dropped because we don't have the firepower to challenge oppression. And he wanted Wakanda to share some of his power so that the oppressed Africans in America, as well as others, I assume, to be able to challenge that. That was his position. All right. Now, that's a direct challenging position. How was he portrayed? He was portrayed negatively. Okay. How was he portrayed negatively? They had him to be the person to ally with claws. Story option. I'm a storyteller. I write stories. I make up stories. I also rewrite movies. He could have aligned with another black Wakandan, okay, an African Wakandan, who also believed that those resources need to be shared, as opposed to connecting himself to the white villain and crook clause. Okay, it would have made it a counter movement within Wakanda, as opposed to him being a traitor to Wakanda. You see what I'm saying? So he wouldn't be portrayed as negatively. Remember, morality in service of oppression says anybody, or whenever the character is saying we're going to challenge oppression directly, he has to be made, or she, in a negative light, all right? Compared to the character who's portrayed as more congenial to oppression and going along with it. Again, Malcolm Martin. All right, so he, Killmonger is the other person, the other character who consistently, and as Kabir said, was on point with politically saying, hey, we need to use these resources in order to arm the oppressed to challenge the oppressor. Straight direction, military power, power to challenge oppression. How was he portrayed? Although his politics was right on, he's portrayed as somebody going off the deep end, that is going too far, all right? Having his personal hurt have him be where he would ally with claws as well, even though he'd kill him, and he would, wouldn't be in some, it'll be in again, a negative light. So in both cases, you have the people who are saying we need to directly challenge oppression being portrayed in a negative light. That is so. Now, Lupita said we need to take it out. We need to take it out. And what she was challenging was a great thing, these sisters who've been kidnapped, but she wasn't talking about challenging white people directly. That is, the people who were on that train were other black people. Okay? All right, so it's important that we understand how morality in service of oppression worked, so that you begin to see it and counter it in your stories and counter it in the stories that you are receiving. Now, let's contrast that to the character T'Challa, excuse me, who then in the end says, I'm going to share this with the UN, or I'm going to save the CIA agent, all right? His wanting to share the resources, but not share the resources in ways that would directly challenge oppression. If you remember his speech, for those of you who watched the movie, after the first credits roll, there is a scene where he is talking to UN in Vienna.
Right.
All right. So, and what he's saying is, if you remember the Mandela speech, it's almost identical from the key parts. We're going to show the world that we have more in common than different. Okay. We're going to be an example for the world. All right. So we're going to take the moral high ground. Key problem. So it fits as a more moral, a more late Mandela, as opposed to the Mandela who's the black pumpernickel who would blow up stations. Okay. It's the subdued Mandela. It is the articulated king versus Malcolm. All right. And that position is how you end with key problem. And this is where rewriting the story is important. This is where, as far as I'm concerned, Coogler needs to go to school. All right. I know he's trying to do some good things, but if you're gonna mess with this, he really needs to go to school. And here, in that, Wakanda could say the first thing they need to grapple with, and this Dale hits on some of your point. One of the things they set to do is they set up the situation of the brother being left behind, so that we would identify with that pain. Cool. And they would begin to have to deal with the remorse of leaving him behind. And that's kind of parallel to the remorse of not extending help to other Africans, et cetera, et cetera. So one way we could say, okay, while Killmonger is over the top, his points are valid. And we have remorse with allowing captivity to go on, and we didn't try to interrupt it with our power. So let us reconcile. Let us have the Council of Elders. Let us have a discussion, a dialogue about how we reconcile our bad feelings about not helping other Africans challenge oppression. That is completely left off. It goes from, we're going to reconcile our feelings for leaving him, with now we're going to give our things over to the UN. Option. How about, while we don't want to do it over the top the way Killmonger wanted to do it, we figure out, if we're Wakanda, how we're going to actually change the balance of power. We're going to actually aid in not a super negative way, but we're going to aid those who are oppressed so that they have power, some of the power of Wakanda, and can then sit down at the table because you have a power, more of a military power balance here. So you still could have a conversation, but not a conversation that's based on morality. We're just going to do right, as if you could trust these folks from doing right. They did not say, we're going to figure out how we aid the oppressed so that the oppressed can come to the table with the oppressors from a position of power. Do y'all get me on that? Okay?
Yeah.
It's a complete miss, and it's not a miss, okay? It's a script, all right? It's not a miss. It's an intentional piece where you say people who are thinking about challenging oppression are off their rocker, all right? And we cannot have Wakanda be arming those who are going to militarily and in a powerful way challenge oppression. Instead, we have to appeal to folks' moral consciousness, as opposed to say we're going to arm these folks. At the same time, we can arm them, educate them. You could do it in different ways so that you come to the table with power. That's a huge piece of injected racism on the part of Coogler. And for those of you who like the director, fine, talk to him about coming to Wakesa's school or somewhere where he doesn't project that kind of injected racism in a script, okay, where he can use his considerable talents, but not at the same time carry on, because that could just as well have been written by the Klan or anybody else that said, we're going to consciously not, we're going to put negative in a negative light, directly challenging oppression, okay, with power. And we're going to defer to, we're all human beings, we're all one family, let's figure it out, okay, from that moral place. Are y'all with me on that? and I understand that this was a tie into Marvel. This is another point. This goes to the superhero trap. All right. So y'all got that. I hope you understand that's morality in service of oppression. All right. We feel good. We watch that film and we feel great because we are now, as Wakanda, we're getting over that part that caused hurt to black people in the case of Killmonger and whatever, and we're going to help ourselves overcome that hurt and our gated communityness by giving it to the world, but not by empowering Africans. All right, so that's a miss. Now, Kabir responds, which is wonderful. That was a tie-in to the Marvel Universe. Now, this is what's really also important. Y'all, a lot of our excitement about this movie is because of it's loved and it's promoted by white people. Okay? It is white people's acceptance of this that is Marvel, okay, that has many of us excited. Right, much more than just the costumes. It is because it is mainstream, and in fact, this statement of it was a tie into the Marvel universe. I'm very well aware of that, and here is a harken into because now Black Panther is going to be integrated as a superhero. Then we will accept this compromise to what our cause is as African people, because now we have achieved integration into the Marvel universe. So he's accepted and is a part of the powerful, however many, Iron Man, etc., etc. And our need and desire to be integrated is what then allows us to give our power position away. And so, so many of us are just so excited that we will give that power away. All right, and so that's my response to Kabir, and want y'all to think about how much of your excitement about it is relative to how much is being promoted and accepted in the broad scale of things, which means America is more excited, America accepts it. Now, this slides into the superhero trap. Let me just go ahead and tell you what that is. We call it SHT. This is the second injected racial script that influences how we take in our stories and also how we tell our stories. Let's back off the Black Panther just to go to Luke Cage, another Marvel character. And I love Luke Cage. I love that he's big and he's powerful and he's black and he's a handsome, smooth brother. And when I'm looking at Luke Cage, and if I imagine a scene where Luke Cage comes up on some white police brutality, I imagine Luke Cage then going, grabbing one of the police officers, throwing him over the car, while the other white police officer grabs the gun, unloads and shoots Luke Cage. Luke Cage runs and bends his gun and throw him someplace else because he never kills anybody, okay? And then and says, oh man, I gotta get another shirt. Okay, so that's Luke Cage scene. Are y'all with me on that? Can you imagine that kind of Luke Cage, because he's a superhero, that he can take that? All right, the question is, when I tell young people that, I said, will watching such a scene make it more likely that you will walk up upon seeing white police officers engaged in police brutality? Would you then are you more likely to go and physically interrupt that? And they said, no. What about you? Let me ask you, are you more likely upon seeing such a scene by Luke Cage more likely to go and physically interrupt some white police brutality?
I don't know if I'm not familiar with the other characters, but I tend
to... You can make him Black Panther, don't matter. Same thing.
Okay. But I tend to do that anyway. I make it my business.
The question is not whether you do it anyway or whether you make it your business. I hear that and I accept it and I love it. The point is, would watching that scene make it more likely that you would do that?
Probably no.
Okay, great. I got 53 messages down here. Let me see. Everything from I purchased some business stock to, let me see, make sure I'm missing. Okay, when I ask students that, they say no. And I said, why? They said, because bullets won't bounce off of us. We don't have to go get another shirt. We die. Okay? That is, we don't have the superhuman power. Now, y'all stay with me on this, okay? Because most folks say if we have these superhero movies, it's going to translate into us being more likely to change our reality. Okay? There is a problem with that, and it is superhero, which is different from hero and shero. All right? A, a hero and a shero is somebody who's an ordinary person that does extraordinary things. Harriet Tubman was a shero, an ordinary sister who did extraordinary things. Okay? Malcolm Martin, somebody just came in on your phone. Please mute your microphone. Mute your phone, please. Okay, thank you. Um, Nat Turner was an ordinary brother doing extraordinary things. All right, you go on and on. Even Mary McLeod Bethune. You can go Ida B. Wells. Ordinary brothers and sisters. George Washington Carver. Ordinary brothers and sisters doing extraordinary things. That is, if you see what they did, then I can, and any child can say, I can do that. Yes, it will take courage. Yes, it will take skill. Yes, it will take development. Yes, it will take gaining knowledge. But I can do that because it's not dependent on me being born on the planet Kryptonite. It's not dependent on vibranium, from a meteor. It's not dependent on superhuman strength that I don't have. Okay? So it's a problem with the super. Now, I have to give credit, and he's going to be with us next week because we're going to do the same thing next Sunday, same time, same channel. And I've invited Brother Daoud Anyobwile from the Brother Man comic books because I learned from him when they decided to write their character, they wanted Brother Man to be an ordinary brother who decided that he was going to change his community, and he did extraordinary things. The kind of story we need right now in our community and for our children to have is not of a superhero, but an ordinary brother and sister who does extraordinary things and becomes a hero or shero because of their decision and the support in their community, etc., and they're changing our reality. Now, here's the trap. When we depend on a superhero for that inspiration. We already had one. I'm going to give up. I'm not going to try to interrupt that police brutality because I don't have the power. Worse than giving up, though, as a part of the superhero trap, is I satisfy myself with a fantasized victory. I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to satisfy myself with a fantasized victory because they are winning on the screen. Because we won in the movies, because we won in the story, I say, hey, we're there. And some of you said that. Some of you, said we're going to be soft. All right. That is, we satisfy ourselves. Now, Harriet Tubman was not satisfied with a fantasized victory. In fact, when Sojourner Truth told Harriet Tubman about Lincoln, Harriet Tubman said, I don't like him. He said, because he only wants to wound the South. She said simply, you don't kill a snake. You don't wound a snake, you kill it. And so she wasn't satisfied with a fantasized victory. All right? Malcolm wasn't satisfied with a fantasized victory. The superhero trap is to make us satisfied with a fantasized victory. Now, let me just show you by going across the track to white folks so that you understand how the elite use this, having us be satisfied with fantasized victory, to sap our power and our movement or any movement. So right now, let's go across the track. Some of you have heard this. We're going to pause dealing with black folks at all. We're going to deal with Muhammad Ali coming on the set and making boxing championship, heavyweight championship boxing black for 50 years. Okay? That is, he was so good and so far out that no white person they put up could touch him. So if they didn't want him to be it, they had to find a Joe Frazier. They had to find a George Foreman. They had to find another black person who could beat him. All right, which meant white folks couldn't beat them. So boxing was going, the heavyweight championship was going to be in the hands of black folks, was and was going to be that for decades. Now, middle class, well, some middle class and almost all working class white folks use the heavyweight championship of the world as a key marker for white supremacy. So, you know, that we're the heavyweight champions, okay? And the last one they remember that was really great was Rocky Marciano, okay? Now, and so, but the reality was they didn't have that anymore. Well, how do we fix that? We create a fictional character. Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5. Y'all know the movie Rocky? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Rocky 6. How many Rockies were there? Over a decade of Rockies. Okay? So much so that the people in Philadelphia, with their tax dollars, erected a statue to a fictional character. While the real champion who lived in Philadelphia and was from Philadelphia, his name is Joe Frazier, had nothing. I want you to understand this strategy of creating fictional characters so that the population gets satisfied with winning vicariously. Some of you might know that this same pattern happens when I go to a church and I'm poor as a church mouse, but I'm feeling good because the pastor is sitting pretty. Okay? And I live vicariously through it. Well, we win vicariously through what's on the screen. And this, without even seeing a scene of the movie, this was already happening as people were saying that this is revolutionary. Now, y'all, it is a wonderful, I agree with many things that were said on the first part of what you like about the movie. Love scenes, fight scenes, ancestors, you know, clothes, the mixing of tradition, fantastic, okay? And key powerful storytelling elements and cinematography. The CGI wasn't that good, but everything else was really great, okay? Now, in terms of that, but the problem is that's design. So I love that. What I don't love is for us to run around and say that it's revolutionary when in fact no decision has been made to increase the wages of black people. No decision has been made, okay, and we have not forced it as a result of this movie or by this movie coming out, that it will then change our health care in our community. It won't stop white folks from shooting us in the street. Now, I don't mean that we can't use it, and we'll get to how you may be able, because the whole thing is how you view it and not fall into this superhero trap. I got to lay out what the trap is before we go to how do you get out of it or not fall into it. But I want you to understand, for somebody calling it revolutionary means you're already divorcing yourself from a measure of what needs to change. What needs to change is not just how we're portrayed on a television screen or on a movie. What needs to change is what's happening in our community. Now, we do something similar to countering this in our Black Love celebration. Because, see, y'all know we are about solutions. So let me just take you to Black Love. I hope you're getting it, and I'm taking you in a number of different places, and I'm going to pause in a second and take some questions about it. But the point is, at our Black Love celebration, and we had our 6th one this year, we're trying to replace our celebrating and engaging in escapist love with our engaging in warrior, healer, builder love. What's the difference? Escapist love, which is synonymous with satisfying ourselves with a fantasized victory, is things are hard out here. And in my intimate relationship, whether that's the bedroom or whether it's just our intimacy, then I can escape here. That's escapist love. But the other option is, how do I go and this love, which is also healing and it feels good and it strengthens me. It doesn't have me forget what's out there. It's not saying forget out there, come in here. It's want to strengthen me so that I'm a better fighter out there, I'm a better builder out there. I'm a better healer out there. And that's the kind of love examples we find in our community and we hold up because people are doing that. And that is an option to escapist love, where I more and more want to be here because here I'm powerful. Out there in the world, I'm less powerful. So, like an addict, I want to spend more time in the fantasize in this escapist relationship, be it the bedroom or the other intimacy. And I got to spend more time here because in the real world, I'm less and less powerful. And nothing that I'm doing here is translating into me changing the reality out there. All right. So this is something that we don't just talk about. We implement in terms of programs, in terms of options for how do you do it. So now, how do we do this with this movie? First of all, it's really critical that we start to tell stories and elevate stories and get excited about stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Okay, not superheroes who have superhuman power that you can't match. Boom. Now that we have seen this movie, and now that this movie is out, and it is of a superhero, how is it that we're going to not fall into this trap?
We know that this brutality.
Okay, so here are some options. Are y'all with me? Before I go into the options, let me see what am I missing. Tunicio and Tafari, you've been helping me out. Are there some things you think I need to respond to here as you've been following the text chat?
Tafari chiming in here. Not that I'm seeing. There's a pretty solid conversation going on that I'm having with Ella's Child on Facebook Live. She had said that Wakanda was
Ella's Child is a he.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm glad you know Ella's Child. Ella's Child said that he thought that what you were saying was really great. But the key problem is that Wakanda was an African nation interacting internationally. Our critique is coming from a position of people who don't have power that blinds us to certain things. We've been talking, I said that what specifically do you think it blinds us to? I contend that we do have power. I contend that our power is not organized or directed specifically at agreed upon aims. Ella's Child said, by power, I mean what you describe as directed and organized efforts. We don't have that in this space, and I think it's a function of being in this space, hence the idea of Wakanda being an independent nation controlling space, values, and resources.
Wonderful. I got it. I appreciate you articulating that. I actually disagree with him, and that's cool. I love that we having free-flowing ideas from both our Facebook live presentation and those people who are in here typing here. Diana Levy says, would that be something like what's going on in North Korea and the U.S. in terms of coming to a table from a position of power? Absolutely. Imagine if, and this is going back to the part of morality and service of oppression and how they could do it differently as opposed to being caught by that. They're smart enough in this imaginary world to figure out how do we, in a more controlled, not killmonger way, take the truth of what he says and what has been said by his father and is being said by Lupita in some way or her character, that we need to extend this to say, let's figure out how to begin to spread this mythical vibranium power so that those people will be empowered, the oppressed, not just morally, but also militarily, and therefore be able to come to the table with the oppressors in order to bring about some change. All right. And so that's there. Somebody said, I skipped Nadir. Okay, let me go back up. Question, is it the job of the community or the outsiders to create change within the community? As far as I'm concerned, it's the job of the community for us to create change as we need to. Now, people from the outside may impact us, and we decide we have to either accelerate that or change differently or do something differently. But in terms of responsibility, it's our responsibility to change, and we're going to change based on what happens outside. I don't. That's the best I can make of your question. If you want to come, um, um, something different, but it is our responsibility to say, here's the kind of change we need to make and make that happen. Now, I also want to say it's totally unnecessary. And when I say unnecessary, if the goal is for you to accept that because this is a part of the Marvel universe and that's exciting to you, you will accept the movie providing negative messages to our people, then that's your choice. That's not good enough for me to have a great white hope. Okay, the CIA, the two white people never should have been in the movie. Now I understand if you accept the Marvel universe, you're gonna have them in the movie. I'm just saying being integrated in the Marvel universe is not worth the negative messages that we're given by having first Killmonger's daddy associate with Claus when he could have associated with other black people in Wakanda, and second, to have the CIA agent not go ahead and let him die. But check this out. Suppose we rewrite it. So instead of having the Great White Hope flying the plane and stopping the vibranium from going, as Killmonger wanted to do, suppose there is a black man apprentice to this powerful sister who's head of technology, and he's there with her, and he's an apprentice, and she calls to him because he's not been a warrior, but he calls to her. There ain't no white guy in the CIA, they let him die. All right. But he doesn't have the experience of flying, but she says, don't worry about it, I'll direct you. So imagine this technician becoming the warrior, the savior that stops this vibranium from going out. We have another powerful black man evolving in the space, as opposed to having this CIA agent. And I understand he's there because he's a connection to the whatever. All I'm saying to y'all, there is nothing. I have no investment, so much investment that they're being in the Marvel, integrated into the Marvel universe, that I'm willing to accept negative messages for our people. I can't be so excited about being integrated in that I accept negative messages. This kind of deep level negative messages that you got to have a great white hope. Are you kidding me? How many times are we going to have that? Stephen Biko, whatever, Django, that is to me unacceptable. Now, I understand that for many of us, and if you have pains about this, I encourage you to see how invested you are in our showing up in a Marvel universe that is white approval, how important that is, such that you would be willing to rationalize us having where a black person is in supposedly directing, but you still have a great white hope where we're depending on him to save this. Okay, there is no acceptance for me. There's no reason for me to accept that. I got to mute somebody because somebody else has just come in, I think. So there's that. Now, I promised you that here are some options so that you don't fall in the superhero trap. All right. We already should have picked up options for how do you not do morality in the service of oppression. You make sure that anybody who's challenging oppression gets supported with family and get supported with good thoughts and get supported and portrayed as powerful and sane, not insane. Okay, that is sane and powerful. That's how when you're telling the story about that, and they could have done that here. That's the.
Excuse me, Wakesa.
Yes, love.
Just a quick point here. Brother Kabir said, is it possible to inject our ideas into their stories? Black Panthers would have been a movie regardless. Should black directors with the mindset of helping black people in the way they see as best, even if we disagree with their methods, ignore these stories and just let white people tell them exclusively? And I guess what I want to say back is, for me, I don't see that the black director told any story differently than the owners at Marvel, Disney, Fox wanted him to tell. I just want to say that. Right. That we really we don't have the power to do that within their businesses. We just don't. I mean, as much as we like to believe we do. Yeah,
Got it.
that's it.
Y'all, this is so important. I'm glad you asked the question, Afia. I'm glad you responded because it really requires some reflection on us in terms of what we're excited about and what our goal is. There are many people who took children to these movies and to this movie and to others, and they want it to be inspirational at the core and all of that. And I understand it, and there can be for a number of different reasons. You can talk about our history and the symbolic references and can make it something. We're going to also have to counter these messages, okay, as you do that. That's what I recommend. As you talk about our symbols and talk about our culture, please counter these messages that we're talking about along with it, all right? But there's a point here, and that is the goal at Aya Education Institute is to have us begin to develop an appetite for our stories, straight no chasing, okay? Right now, we accept crumbs, and we're excited about crumbs. This is a developmental piece. This is not easy. It won't be a mass thing, but we don't care about mass as much as we care about growing a new tradition of us getting excited about our movies. So we miss Disney. So we miss DC and Marvel. Let's begin to get excited. Again, I told you about our Black Love Day. This is the 6th year. We started with 7, 8 couples. Okay. Now we have people where we're exporting this nationally. All right, where people will be doing it.
Okay, guys, tell Sadiq to come and eat.
I got somebody. Please mute your mic, please. If you're on the phone. All right. The point is, and please, y'all, please hear me on this. Let's get to where we are working to have ourselves and our youth develop a different appetite. Instead of, well, they're going to like it. Sure, that's the appetite that will lead them here. And maybe we'll peel something off. But the goal is also to develop a different appetite. And we do it. We have a high school and middle school. We can do this. And one of the key ways to do it is to have them be co-creators themselves with stories. It doesn't have to even be on film, but they can be because everybody a video camera, whatever. But literally, so that we hold a higher standard that we're not accepting. One of the things, one question came to mind from me in this is, if you knew that a white person was sponsoring a citywide Kwanzaa, and they were saying, we are the sponsors of your citywide Kwanzaa celebration, and we also are going to be there, okay, though we won't be in prominent roles, and we want you to have drummers, and we want you to have African clothes, and whatever. Please answer to me in the text chat. Would you go and attend a white-sponsored citywide Kwanzaa? Yes or no? Even and they are saying we are sponsors of this. Not you didn't know it. No, they clearly said we are sponsors of this. And people are saying no, but why? Because we're gonna have drums and we're gonna have our culture on display, and we're gonna have. And after all, we're gonna be doing the dancing. We're gonna be doing the whatever. Well, if you have problems, okay, with attending a white-sponsored Kwanzaa to lift our culture, then why don't you have a problem with a white-sponsored storyteller? I mean, a white sponsor of somebody telling our story and funding it, benefiting from it, and making sure that their essential messages get through. And they get to use Kugler's and the designers' awareness and even love and respect for our culture as a way to get us to drop our defenses so that we let the messages come in. What's the message? You never, even when you have the power of Wakanda, you never, ever empower your people to directly challenge oppression. You appeal to their moral conscience, okay? And so I don't expect everybody to agree with me. It's really okay. I mean, if you know me and you know Aya, we roll, okay? And we build on it. And please do not hear me say, don't go to the movie. I went. Don't hear me say it's not good things about it. We started with it, okay? What I'm wanting to point out is some other things that you might consider as you are then exporting it and talking to yourselves and others and children about it, okay? If we just export the culture and the historical symbolism and not counter the messages, then in fact we're going to be following their work, okay? All right, so now let's talk about how is it we cannot fall into the superhero trap. And to do this is going to, and I've already worked this with my students. These are my high school students at IA. I want you, so the superhero trap, again, has us either give up or satisfy ourselves with a fantasized victory, and therefore it doesn't translate into our using our power to actually change our reality, because we accept that things have changed because, see, we're Marvel now. See, things have changed. Just like, oh, we're Obama's president, so we don't have to worry about the drones in Africa, and we don't have to blah, 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 okay? As the sister said, it makes us soft. How do we avoid that? I want you to identify right in the text chat, even if it's just one word, just so you put in your head, a key scene for you. One key scene, although there may be many. Maybe you can even put 1 to 3 key scenes for Black Panther. And while some of you are typing, if you're excited about it, you can say, I want you to describe shortly or put a word, what's a key scene from this movie for you? And if you've not seen the movie, you've probably seen the trailer. Identify a key scene in the movie that you love. I love that last piece where he's looking at Lupita right at the end, and ask her to be queen, and she says, "I saved the one I love." I think that is dope. Okay, you know that's a powerful love story. That's a scene that I have in my head. Okay. All right, come on, y'all. Give me a scene, because what we're going to do is you're going to best Madison Avenue. You're going to best Hollywood with this right here. All right. This is how you cannot fall into the superhero trap while still enjoying the movie, enjoying Kruger, enjoying everything that you enjoy. All right, come on, I'm seeing it. All right, when he said he was a vegetarian, excellent. For those of you who are on the phone and can't type, open your mic. Tell me a key scene.
Can you hear
when
me?
T'Challa spared the life of his opponent, when he
Ah,
could have
yes,
easily
you are
killed
the
him.
leader of your people. Yield, brother, your people need you. Excellent, excellent. Give me another one. Joy, you were speaking. Come on with it.
Yeah. When the general, she stopped the rhino in his tracks, and he ended up licking her in the rhino bow.
All right, fantastic scene. Come on, y'all, give me some more. I got Imani saying when the brothers silenced the CIA agent. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, all right. Asha says when he was fighting, his mother shouted, "Show him who you are." Excellent, excellent. All right.
I love the scene when T'Challa actually went back and challenged his father and told him, "You messed up.
You messed up, Pop, and I gotta go clean it up." Yes,
I
gotta reconcile it, because what we gotta do, we got to heal, as Kabir said. It's the work of somebody that we do the work to of our ancestors, and it's left over. Excellent. All right. When T'Challa was crowned king, and everything about the ceremony. Lupita's mission to save the captives, Addie said. Fantastic. All right. So now, if you got the scene in your mind, now I want you to have, I want you to think of a problem in our community that's real to you, that affects you either personally or some people in your family or your community. What's a real problem in the Black community? And then once you get that, I want you to create a picture for it. Now, this you don't necessarily have to write. You can write what the problem is, but then I want you to create one single image or a scene, very short, that represents that problem. What's a problem? What's a problem in our community? Come on, R. Thomas, bro. Get that working. Come on, come on. Teresa Dodson,
Take me all in, Doc.
Come on, come on.
They talking about.
Mute your phone.
I think this one is going
All right, somebody mute your phone, please. I'm trying to find who it is so I can help you out.
Um, don't be fooled by the superhero of what is it?
I believe it's Don, Dahn.
DA on the phone?
By the
Let me see here.
by the superhero.
I don't.
It started at 7. Surprised. I was trying to listen to it while I was driving, but I couldn't get
Okay. All right. So, y'all got children being forced to take mind-altering drugs. Faith and serving white Jesus. My sister. Okay. So you got the problem. All right. Now you got an image for the problem. Now I want you to create one more image, and that's the image for the solution. That is, what's an image for that represents the solution to that problem? Do you have it? Just even if you don't have to type it, write it down. Do you have an image for the solution to that problem? Now I got it, Teresa. Give me an image. Make sure you have an image in your mind that represents Pan Africanism. Create one.
He's been a third marshal before. Ikisa, you know him?
All right.
I know he's been a third marshal several times.
Yes, I have been a Thurgood Marshal several times. Would you mute your mic, though? The person who just said I've been a Thurgood Marshal several times. Mute your phone, please.
Oh, why you turn that off? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Love you. Mute your mic. Press mute on it, or look down at the bottom here. Okay. How can I mute everybody, Fear?
Wow.
All right, I'm looking at it. Audio options, speaker, selected speaker, same as system, virtual line, audio cable. That won't do it. Let's see here.
Don, there's a next to the video icon underneath the image, Don, there's a audio button. Just click that audio button and it'll mute you. The microphone and the audio button.
All right, great. All right, so now you should have 3 images. You have the powerful image from Black Panther. All right, got it. Everybody give me a thumbs up or something. Yeah, got it. Got your powerful image. You got your image that represents your problem, the problem that you care about in our community. You got your image that represents the solution. One little adjustment to that last image, okay? And then we're going to get rolling with how do you do it. The last image, put yourself in that image somewhere. Put yourself there. Put your face there. Put your hand there. Put yourself there if you can somewhere. All right. So now we have 3 images. Now, what I want you to do, if you will, if you trust me, I want you to close your eyes or at least relax. And I want you to imagine that you are in your movie theater. Yours. It's Anana's movie theater. And there's a big screen. There's R.J. Thomas movie theater. There's Tanisio's movie theater. And there's a big screen and you're looking at that screen. And on that screen, the first image that you see is that image that you loved from Wakanda and from Black Panther. Whether it's, you know, the scene of him doing justice and saving the brother's life, sparing his life, you know, him, you know, kissing little Peter at the end, whatever your image is, you see it there, you know, you may even have the soundtrack playing, all right? It's vibrating and you're there. Now in the lower right-hand corner, there's another image. In fact, there are 2 of them. They're real small and they're black and white and they're stacked on top of each other. And one of them is an image of the problem that you made of the problem in our community. The other image is the image you made of the solution. This won't work if you're just thinking about it, y'all. You gotta, Madison Avenue, Hollywood can't do anything with their CGI that you can't do better with this brain up here. And what we're going to do is I'm gonna count, and at a certain number, what I want you to do, I want you to make a noise, okay? Like, yeah, okay? You know, or yo, or mo, whatever it is, but it has to be a loud noise. And I want you to push your hands forward. And what you're doing is having that small image of the problem is going to bust that image, is going to take the place and just knock that image from Black Panther out of the way. And you'll see that image. And then I'm going to give you the count of 3 again. You're going to breathe in and you're going to do it again. And bam, you're going to put up the image of the solution, hopefully with you in it. Are y'all ready? Take a deep breath. You're in your movie theater. I'm going to count. And when I have at number 3, I want you to, well, we can all do mope, or if you don't like that, you can do another one. But you gotta, we're gonna do it in rapid succession. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. 1, 2. Now on that screen should be your image of the problem in the Black community. We're gonna go one more time. 1, 2, 3, and then you're gonna replace that image with the image of the solution. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're gonna do that again. We're gonna start it from the top. Breathe.
Oh, man.
Come on, y'all. You can do this. And all we're doing, y'all, is we're creating new associations so that you won't be satisfied with a fantasized victory. So that the next time you remember this wonderful image that you saw, you will enjoy that image, and it also will remind you of a problem that we have to solve and us solving it. Ready? 1, 2, 3 on the screen. Let it sit there. You got the problem. You're not running from it. It's a real problem in our community. 1, 2, 3. And there is a solution. There is that solution there. Now, part of what we need to do, we don't have as much time, but I want you to do that about 3 times a day and try to do it fast. Okay? All right, you can open your eyes, all right, for those of you who closed it. And do that, making sure that you move your body. Because you're pushing new things on the screen and making sure that you have your sounds that go with it. Why? Because you're sitting there in the movie theater and that Dolby is with you. You know, boom, boom. Okay, right there. So, and it's all a part of that emotional connection. So you are using your own, and you are enjoying those scenes that you laid out. Okay, that you like in the movie, that you're going to talk about, that feels good to you, that you can tell other people about. And when you remember that scene or those scenes, now for what I want you to do is I want you to do over the next 30 days, do 5 scenes. You could do it over the next 5 days. Your 5 top scenes in a Black Panther. Match that with your 5 top problems in our community based on what you think, not what I think, and your solutions to them. And then I want you to practice. How about do this between, because we're going to come back next Sunday. Same time, same channel, okay? Same link, okay? Right back here. And I'd love for y'all to report, some of you, on how you have done this, okay? Whether you've done it. And you know you will succeed it when you think of that image and it reminds you of the problem. And that reminds you of the solution. And there's one other part to it that we'll get next week. I'll tell you it now, and because of time, I'm just going to say it, okay? And that is the next step and the last step is for those problems that you find and that you've articulated up there and that you have replaced it. You identify people in our community, ordinary people who are addressing those problems. Ordinary organizations who are addressing those problems, okay? And so what you have done is you will have allowed yourself to enjoy all of the parts that you enjoy. It doesn't matter whether somebody agrees with you or not. Doesn't matter whether you agree with me or the politics. If you enjoyed those scenes, if you enjoyed the clothes, if you enjoyed the ancestral call, if you enjoyed whatever, you are then enjoying it, and then you are connecting it instead of having it allow you to satisfy yourself with a fantasized victory in order for you to still wonder whether it alone will solve our problems or whether or not hopefully it'll translate. You're not doing that. You're not depending. Hope is good, but it's not a strategy, y'all. Hope, please, if you don't know that, write it down. It's a Wakesa-ism. Hope is not a strategy. What you've just been given is a strategy, okay? So that whatever you like about Wakanda and Black Panther, it reminds you, it doesn't take you away from our real problems. It reminds you of those problems. It reminds you of the solutions, and then it'll connect you to people who are working to solve that problem. If it's a food issue, Tenicio works with an organization and has his own farm who's helping to solve that problem, okay? If it's, economic development, you want to find people so that what you have is then you have this movie made by people who mean us no good. I'm talking about the funders. I'm talking about Disney, who funds Fox, okay? Who tells our black basketball players to shut up and just dribble and don't talk and don't think politics, okay? The same company that means us no good and profits from our misery, we've taken their production and the good work of Coogler and those black actors, and we've turned it so that it doesn't allow us to be satisfied with a fantasized victory. Instead, it takes us to our problems and solving those problems. Now, it's 9:01, and my mama taught me one thing. She said, Wakesa, don't make them happy twice. I didn't know what that meant. And I asked her after she kept saying it, don't make them happy twice. She said, son, make them happy to see you come, but not happy to see you go. Don't overstay your welcome, okay? And so I want to make sure that you're happy to see me come this time and also next Sunday. All right, me and Tafari and Tenicio and everybody who's here. Now, we always end an eye with appreciations. If there's anything you appreciate about this time we've spent together, I want you to say it, but I also want you to go on social media and blow it up. Tell folks anything you've learned that you appreciate. Any one takeaway, whether it's taken away from listening to what people appreciate that you didn't think about, or listening to what people said they did not like that you didn't think about, or this process that I've taken you through about challenging MSO, morality and service of oppression, or anything you like about avoiding the superhero trap. I'm going to be quiet. File the text chat, anything that you appreciate, anything you liked, anything you're taking away, it's yours. I got thank you for the critical thinking piece. I intend to share with as many people as possible. Appreciate everyone's viewpoints. Come on, Lan Barry. I see you shaking your head over there. Open that microphone. Tell me at least one thing you appreciate about tonight. Aaliyah. All right. She's not. She's
Greetings.
thinking.
I appreciate Madase P. Olai that I am able to help my children reimagine this movie without sacrificing the joy that they're getting from it and empowering them, including my.
Very good. That's the key. All right. You don't have to take it, but you don't have to surrender them to it. Yes. Come on, Dale Yarborough.
Well, I appreciate the idea of, having a way to look at things, the idea of looking at something and trying to take a positive from something, even, whatever people may feel about, what they thought about the movie or whatever. I do agree. We always need to have a method of taking a positive from something. So I appreciate, a method being provided to take a positive from something.
And I appreciate you, brother.
Good evening, Wakesa. I appreciate your perspective of taking the movie, taking the good from the movie and converting it into positive action. The idea, those last steps that you talked about of a powerful scene that you loved, converting it to a problem that faces us directly, and then painting a real picture, as you will, a storyteller, painting a picture of a solution. That's very, very powerful.
Thank you, my brother. Nadia, graduate, Higher Educational Institute out there at Prescott College, doing big things. Any appreciations, any takeaways, my brother?
I also appreciate the exercise that we did. Just taking that image of the movie and then pushing it away and taking that issue. I mean that well, the issue that's in our community and pushing that away, then pushing in our solution and putting ourselves in that solution, and then being able to identify those people that are doing that type of work in our community, and it's giving me idea for another video project I want.
Yeah. And listen, if y'all don't know, Nadia, put your link, your YouTube link in the text chat. Y'all, this brother is a freshman. He graduated from I last year. In his first semester, he produced this 20-minute film that is dynamite. That's reflective of the consciousness. Please put the link there. Y'all go to it, comment on his Facebook page. If he puts his email, big him up, you know, or if you don't like it, tell him that too. He got the, you know, he comes from Aya, and he comes from, you know, the Prescott stock. He can handle it. Any other, Diana Levy, anything you appreciate about our time together? All right, while I'm waiting for you, got some folks at area code 301-946-4726. What you got to say? All right, somebody 770 is talking. Go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Diana. I said I appreciate the fact that I could move beyond the hype, because I just saw it last night, and be able to look at it beyond the hype.
Nope. So glad you're here, my sister. You know, this is a warrior, healer, builder sister out in San Jose, but that's been kicking it for a long time. Is Deborah Watkins, your partner in Revolution, still on?
I haven't heard her.
I got a text. She's typing something in the text.
I'm still here.
What do you appreciate, sister? What's your takeaway?
Oh, I couldn't wait for you to do this. I'm just trying to contain myself. I've been here for the whole seminar, from the beginning. I already texted in the chat that I knew you'd bring it home to us.
All right, excellent. Come on, for Rewa, Washington, D.C., represent. Washington, D.C. is being also represented by Nia Tanya Rutherford, saying thanks for providing the forum for us to dissect the movie together. Anana.
Yeah.
Any appreciations or takeaways, my sister?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, it's working. I do. I feel like the other brothers and sisters, I really appreciate the exercise to kind of take my mind through the process of multiple feelings in general that were triggered. So, the heightened sense of appreciation for, the complexions, that was just big for me. And also getting more scientific about recognizing the scripts without losing, as the other sister said, kind of the joy of it all. And then lastly, really just the healthy dialogue. I feel like this is exercising a muscle that needs to be exercised when things are fresh. And so I appreciate it. I feel like this is a wonderful cultural support group. So I say thank you.
And y'all tell some folks we got room for about 40 more people in here, because we can hold up to 100 with next Sunday, 7 o'clock. All right. Bring back your good stuff, tell me about your, and your replacement. How's that working for you? A couple more people, because it's 9:09, and I really appreciate everybody hanging tough here. Shabazz family, come on, talk to me. Anything you appreciate or take away?
Just your consistency, Baba. We appreciate it. That's true. And I appreciate that support. When we break it down with our students, we will certainly do that exercise. So, Medawasi.
Thank you. All right, come on, phone number 202-224. Excuse me, 202-249. You got the rest. All right. Well, I'm afraid now that I'm about to be making you happy twice, and I definitely don't want to do that. My mama would be on me. Okay, Nia, I got you. I want to thank Tanisio, Would y'all help me big him up? He had a little technical difficulty, but he helped put this together. I want you to help big up Tafari. Thank all of y'all for coming. There are plenty of people on Facebook who've been doing stuff. Y'all, please go to the Facebook Live page, share it, share on your Facebook. This kind of healthy dialogue, this kind of analysis, and this kind of options. Okay. All right. So it's how we can be where we are and still not get trapped. Okay. Love y'all. I meant to play a piece from you from Amos Wilson. I'll have to play that next week because you took center stage, and I like live over Memorex. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
It's out.